Hello, my name is Dale Wilhite. I live in Mountain Village, Colorado. And if you want to find out anything about me, go to MySpace where I have a page. This here deals with insomnia. Okay, something that I've suffered, ever since I was a kid. And a lot of people suffer from insomnia. There's nothing new about that. Most of my life, I was addicted to sleeping pills. It was sometimes just a little bit too many. Uh, Nothing, dangerous or anything, but just way too many. I've spent just so much money all my life on sleeping pills, just hoping to get sleep. But let me just throw in a little interesting fact about sleeping pills that you need to be aware of. First of all, they can become addictive. Second, if you take too many at one time, sometimes people think if you just take some or a whole bunch at one time, that it's going to make you get to sleep faster. Once in a while, it may, but what it can also do is have the opposite effect on you. It can keep you awake. It's like taking caffeine or something, like a caffeine pill. It has the opposite effect. Beware of that. So just taking more and more sleeping pills is not going to make you go to sleep most of the time. It will maybe now and then, but most of the time it will not. At least it hasn't for me. Okay, to get over insomnia, at least what worked for me, was something that kind of came my way, which I didn't realize was happening at the beginning. There's the Telluride transit manager named Kristen Pratt, who one day put me on a schedule I worked as a transit driver, and still work as a transit driver, uh, where I would have to get up every morning about 5 a.m., sometimes earlier, and be at the transit department at 5:30 to open up 5 days a week, and that was what we called the two loop, or that's what I was working with, the two loop. I'm the opener, and then I drive a couple hours. Then usually sometimes I'd come back late in the afternoon and work maybe 7 or 8 hours, and sometimes long more. Anyhow, and so I was put in a position where I have to go to sleep. I don't have a choice. I have absolutely no choice. I've got to go to bed, 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So for the first month, it was very hard because of the fact that most of the time, no matter how tired I am, I just can't go to bed at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. And sometimes I wouldn't go to bed at 8 o'clock in the morning. It just wouldn't matter. I can go for days sometimes without sleeping. And I did take sleeping pills, and sometimes they'd help a little bit, but sometimes they wouldn't. So the first month was pretty bad, okay? But I was starting to get into a rhythm. And with me, if I can't get in a rhythm of something, then I'm not going to be very good at it. I have to get into a rhythm. Then I began to wonder, well, now what's wrong? I'm starting to go to sleep a little bit. I'm getting better at it, but something's missing. Something here. Why is it I can't go to sleep still? Well, like right over here behind this webcam is a lamp. Well, I would leave the lights on in my place sometimes, and I'd leave the TV on that's on right now. And I began to realize that might be one of the distractions that I'm having, and that might be part of the reason. So I took a chance, got me 2 alarm clocks. I set one at a different time so that if I miss one, there's the other to wake me up. Lo and behold, within a week, I was sleeping about as normal as I ever have in my entire life, because I got into a rhythm. The transit manager kind of set the schedule up for me, and she knew I was an insomniac, and I assume, and I'm pretty sure this was her idea, that was her intent of putting me on that kind of a shift. So that's the only way you can overcome it. Sometimes you have to be forced to do something that you don't want to do, and most of my life I've been avoiding those kinds of shifts. I've still had them. I've still worked jobs where I've had to get up early in the morning, but I wasn't always 100%. But I've always managed to get evening shifts most of my life, no matter where I worked at. That was my mistake. It's getting in that morning shift, getting into a rhythm to where you go to bed at a certain time and get up at a certain time. But the extra benefit, or the thing you should do that's a little bit extra on it, is you need to cut everything off in your bedroom or wherever you're sleeping at. Cut the lights out, cut the TV off. Okay, and if you're afraid you won't get up, get 2 alarm clocks. Don't get one that's plugged in, of course, because that's the one that will, power goes off during the night, you're in trouble. You may be in trouble when you try to wake up in the morning. Although I have the ability usually to wake up about an hour before I'm supposed to, or even close to the time I'm supposed to. That comes from the military. There, almost everybody anticipates having to wake up. We all know that we're going to have to get up at a particular time, and so, just in your head, there's a clock in your head that says, okay, it's Reveille time soon, and you better wake up. So it's not uncommon to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, even though Reveille's not until 5. Anyhow, It's getting into a rhythm. And once you can do that, once you can learn to cut everything off in your house, or at least in your bedroom, of course you need to relax. And of course, don't drink any caffeine after 6 p.m. You might just be able to overcome your insomnia. Now, if you need a couple of sleep pills, fine, just one or two. But remember, no more, because of the fact that too many sleeping pills, it's not going to necessarily harm you, unless you took an overdose. But it can also have the opposite effect of keeping you awake, like caffeine pills. And I know this for a fact. So that's what I wanted to say here to those out there who, like me, most of my life have suffered from insomnia. You've got to get into a sleeping rhythm, I'll call it, where you can go to sleep at a particular time. Now, even though I'm not still in that same, I do not get up at 5:30 in the morning anymore most of the time. I still do on Sundays, and now it looks like it's going to be on Mondays. I still have the ability now to go to sleep at night without having to stay awake all night to get up in the morning. Sometimes I don't have to sleep. Sometimes I still don't sleep all night, but that's because there's usually something on my mind or something bothering me. That's the way it is for all of us. That's nothing new. Everybody watching that sees this will know that. That's something we all go through. So, but overall, I've just learned to cut everything off, all the lights, and I've learned not to be afraid to go to sleep, even though I may have to get up very early in the morning. And it's something that's, in the fear that I won't wake up. Don't let that be a deterrent from trying to get relaxed and get some sleep. Because sometimes what causes insomnia or why a person can't go to sleep at night, who works early in the morning, is their fear they will not wake up. And that's something employers, schools, or whatever don't seem to understand. They don't realize that there are some people like that. And I hope one day that in the schools they will help kids who have insomnia, maybe by getting some help so that they can sleep at night and the grades would improve then. If you notice, that's almost a non-subject in our society. The school systems don't seem to have any policy, anything regarding insomnia or students who have insomnia. None whatsoever. And a lot of kids are suffering today because of it. Shania Twain had wrote on MySpace here a while back about the fact that she was going to help a lot of kids in Canada, who had problems. I emailed her and told her that not to forget the kids with insomnia. They need some help too. And of course, kids all over the world that have insomnia need help. And maybe these school grades might improve. Mine would have been much better had I not always been so tired in the morning times and been awake all night. Because I spent a lot of nights awake. But even when I come in the afternoon, I had to go to work or do something else. And even though I was that tired, if I was just tired enough, I'd be able to go to sleep that night. But a lot of the nights that I went to bed, so I go to school the next morning, I never slept. So anyway, thank you for your time, and I hope this information is a little bit helpful.